Joining me to discuss the impact of symbolism and the importance of civil discourse are my guests, Ashley Virtue with the National Conflict Resolution Center and Aaron Bruce, Chief Diversity Officer at San Diego State University. And Aaron, what is your reaction to this debate over removing a flag that some say is a symbol of Southern heritage, while others say it's evolved into a symbol of hate?
Well, I think it's important to take a look at symbols holistically in our country and what it means historically. And as people change, their representation of symbols changes and the meaning for them changes. I think it's important, and it's a great opportunity to have a rich conversation that's long overdue in our country. There's a lot of pain in our country, and we haven't healed from wounds that might have been started in the inception of our country. I think over time this is a good thing for people to put the issues on the table and have good conversations.
And speaking of conversations, Ashley, what is your reaction to how this discourse is evolving and changing over the Confederate flag?
You know, I think that in our country there's a lot of confusion about the difference between debate and dialogue. And in a debate, you're really speaking to your constituents that agree with you, and maybe you're perhaps talking to the wavering middle and trying to convince them to come to your side. Whereas in a dialogue, you're really speaking directly with the person who perhaps opposes your opinion. So, my opinion of it is that we're engaged in more of a debate than we are a dialogue at this point, and hopefully we would be able to see that people could actually have more of a conversation around what some of these deeper issues are, as opposed to just speaking at one another instead of with one another.
And Aaron, I know State Assemblywoman Lorena Gonzalez is calling for Robert E. Lee Elementary School in Paradise Hills, calling for that name to be changed because of Civil War. You know, the general actually left a mixed legacy on race and slavery. So how does one balance acknowledging historical figures and what they were and being culturally sensitive?
Well, I think KPBS has been great at doing that. I mean, with the Local Heroes Awards, it's a great opportunity to redefine what a hero is. And this is a great opportunity to do that for a school and looking at what it meant then, and also what do we want our young people to think about leaders and who they are and who they represent of all different types of identities. So it's a great opportunity to have a long overdue conversation about the history of our country.
And how about you, Ashley, having a productive dialogue over, let's say, changing Robert E. Lee's name on the school marquee or a mascot, making this decision over whether something's offensive or not? How do you have that dialogue?
I think what's important in having the dialogue is that you really work with people from various sides of the conversation, and that you give them an opportunity to express what their underlying values are in the situation. So a lot of times what happens is that there are assumed values placed on one side or the other, and I think giving people the opportunity to really be part of the conversation, and then more so than just part of the conversation, part of the solution and what they'll be able to do moving forward. So keeping a very forward-looking, constructive tone to the conversation.
And I have to ask locally here, Aaron, as Chief of SDSU Diversity, what do students say about names and symbols like the Aztec warrior mascot, for instance, and how this makes them feel?
Well, I think it's important to understand that in the evolution of any organization, there's going to be change. And with that change, identity changes as well, and views of one's identity change. And our students are very focused on inclusion, diversity, and leadership. And as part of that, they're reevaluating what it means to be a member of the San Diego State University community. And part of that means to think about, okay, if leadership starts here, what does that mean in terms of diversity and inclusion? So over time, I think our students are going to make some very thoughtful decisions about how to represent themselves in our diverse community.
Well, some may argue that dissecting historical figures retrospectively is a very slippery slope. What would you say to people who say these changes are politically motivated and they don't really change attitudes? Let's start with you, Aaron.
Well, I think they do. If I see images, positive images of women in STEM, it's going to make me feel differently about the positive contributions that women have made historically. So I think it's important to look back at our history as a country and think about the positive achievements of many different groups of people, whether they're people with disabilities, whether they're from the LGBT community or other ethnic groups.
And Ashley, let me get your perspective on that. So people saying, listen, this is just politically correct terminology. Is it really going to change anything?
And I think the way that we're able to discuss with one another what that terminology means is where the conversation really starts. So there may be different perceptions of certain terminologies. And so again, getting past that surface level of this is a word we like or don't like, or this is a symbol we like or don't like, what is it really about? What are the values there that we need to discuss so that we can move beyond the surface level and really talk about the deeper issues at hand?
All right, Ashley Virtue and Aaron Bruce, thank you so much.
Thank you.